Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of May 19, 2025. My name is Sina Nejad. I have the honor of chairing the Planning and Zoning, and I'll welcome you again. Please make sure that you turn off or silence your cell phones so it would not wake up the rest of us. And also, when you're speaking, limit your time to 3 minutes to be fair to the rest of the folks here. With that said, if you would, please call the roll.
Chairman Najad.
Here.
Commissioner Beatty.
Present.
Commissioner Jabbar is absent. Commissioner Jabia.
Here.
Commissioner Javed is absent. Commissioner Linton.
Here.
Commissioner Macon. Here. Commissioner Senegar. Here. Alternate Commissioner Sorrell.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The members of the commission have been sent the minutes of the previous meeting for April 21st, 2025. I would take a motion to approve and or hear your comments.
I so move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? The ayes have it. Thank you. Before we get started, I would like to sincerely welcome all the new city council people. Thank you very much for volunteering, and this is going to be a great job. You're going to have a lot of fun. And I also want to thank the ones before you that suffered with us through some time here. So with that said, we're going to get started with PZ 2025117.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. In 2021, Scott Holloman and the heirs of A.J. Fasulo Estates requested that the city of Beaumont accept maintenance of the private drive and infrastructure located east of West Calder Road and north of Baker Road. The Planning Commission tabled this request a couple times to receive supporting data on December 17th, 2024. The City Council found the request to be in the best interest of the city and approved it with conditions that a plat be produced by a licensed surveyor and must be submitted to the planning offices prior to final acceptance of the streets and infrastructure. Therefore, the City of Beaumont engaged Whiteley Infrastructure Group to complete the required plat work. This plat does comply with all city standards and requirements, and planning staff does recommend approval of this request. We sent out 19 property owner notices, those who live along this private drive, and received 4 in favor and 0 in opposition. The area outlined in red on the screen is the area under review. And this is the plat. And we do have Mr. Rowe with Whiteley Infrastructure present if you have any questions, but it does comply with all city standards.
Thank you, ma'am. Any question for Demi? Mr. Whiteley? Oh, Mr. Rowe. I'm sorry. Tom, I didn't mean to insult you like that. Good afternoon to you.
Tom Rowe with Wiley Infrastructure Group. Tom, not Mark.
I'll tell you what, as long as you and I known each other, that was a terrible mistake.
It's okay.
I
That's
apologize.
okay. As Demi said, it's pretty cut and dry. This street has been private for years. The Fasulos, as they divided up the property, granted easements to all these homeowners. And this is trying to bring this in to a platted street right-of-way to allow the city to proceed. And there's also a drainage easement along the easterly line. Pretty cut and dry.
Good. Mr. Fasulo's not here?
He's not.
Okay.
However, we do have some representatives, but this is a City of Beaumont application at this point because of the plat requirement. So the City of Beaumont is bringing this plat forward.
Well, I was just going to congratulate him and tell him persistent pays off. So he's been here 4 or 5 times. No questions for Mr. Rowe?
You have a cul-de-sac?
Cul-de-sacs? No, sir, there's no cul-de-sacs in this plat. The street's there. We're just trying to get it in accordance. And I haven't been in all the meetings, and Demi can probably speak more to that. But it's just trying to get it in compliance. There's some.
This is,
Yes, sir.
so this road exists. It's just a private drive at this point, but it exists. So what we're trying to do, if they want us to take over maintenance of the infrastructure and the street, we need to get that right away so that we can actually go in and maintain the roads and do it rehabilitation.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, sir.
We heard from the applicant and also the staff, and there are no conditions. I would entertain a motion.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? The ayes have it. Thank you. The next one is PZ 2025144. I am going to recuse myself from this, and Linda's going to take care of that.
Okay. File PZ 2025-144. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, ma'am. Nick Ferguson, on behalf of iTex Group, is requesting a waiver to the sidewalk requirements for a new multifamily development at 4390 West Cardinal Drive. In section 26.03.004, Part 3 of the city's ordinances states that the Planning and Zoning Commission may grant a waiver to the sidewalk requirement if the applicant can prove there is an engineering reason for not installing a sidewalk. The applicant's letter cites the following. Number one, TxDOT does not permit sidewalks within their right-of-way, which restricts our ability to comply with the ordinance as originally intended. Number two, if the sidewalk were moved behind the property line, it would end abruptly at the DD6 ditch on the west side of the property, rendering the sidewalk incomplete and impractical. The ditch presents a significant physical barrier, further complicating the sidewalk's implementation. And number three, on the east side of the property, there is a vacant lot with no connecting sidewalk and densely wooded. This further complicates the continuity of pedestrian access, as it would require additional adjustments that are not feasible without creating unnecessary hardship. The city's traffic engineer reviewed the request and does not support the waiver, noting that the reasons provided do not constitute valid engineering barriers to the sidewalk construction. As such, staff recommends denial of this request. Area outlined in red is the area under review. And the sidewalk waiver that they're requesting is along Cardinal Drive to the bottom of this rendering. I'll bring my mouse over. So you can see this red line right here. That's the area that they're wanting to remove the sidewalk.
Okay, any questions of staff? Okay, is the applicant in the audience? Yes, sir. If you'll come forward and give us your name and address, please.
Nick Ferguson at 1219 Florida Street. No.
Okay,
She spelled it out. That's the intended sidewalk was originally drawn on the right of way for TxDOT. At this point, we don't have anything in place, or we attempted to install it, called TxDOT out, and there was, of course, conflict there. So we pulled everything, pulled the rebar out. We had forms and rebar in place at the point, and then that's where we stand at this point.
I have a question.
And as she stated, that ditch is at the end of the property, or our property line actually goes across the ditch, but there wouldn't be any crosswalk there moving forward. And I failed to mention there's a 15-foot easement at the south end, or on the south side of the property for Southwestern Bell, which would be pouring over the top of that on the front end of the property.
okay. Any questions of the applicant?
Yes. Trying to get an understanding. Who TxDOT do not allow for you to put this in?
Correct.
They made that provision, I want to say a couple years ago now. So it's the choices, they could possibly get a sidewalk waiver, or a lot of developments wind up putting the sidewalk onto private side instead of in the right of way, where if you do a development within Beaumont along a right of way that we own and not TxDOT, then we allow you to place that sidewalk within the right of way. But TxDOT does not allow for that. So his options are to either receive a sidewalk waiver or place that sidewalk onto private property.
And the private property is who? Theirs?
It's theirs, yes.
Okay. Because knowing that there's a lot of traffic on that street and you have an apartment complex, and it doesn't seem feasible to have that, because even though you have wooded acres next to it, eventually it seems that apartment complex has been coming up in all that wooded area. It's going to have to adjoin at one point, and for the safety of the pedestrians. Is there any way that can be put in?
Yes, I mean, technically, yes, but I mean, on both sides of the property, there are no existing sidewalks at this point, even further down towards 4th Street and towards Fedette. I think on the very corner of 4th Street at those gas stations, there actually is a sidewalk, but that's the only property that has sidewalks at this time. And, you know, at this point, the front end of our property is wooded. We cleared out a little bit of it. I mean, just to thin it out to make it look better, but, you know, we'd have to clear a few trees and I'm not even sure about that 15-foot utility easement as well. I hadn't talked to Southwestern Bell or AT&T about that. But I mean, the first 15 foot of our property that's where the easement starts.
Okay.
Inside of that.
And I guess my question is to Demi, with that, and I'm assuming that because it's new construction and the ordinance you put out for sidewalks recently, it didn't apply to the other structures around it, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions of the applicant? No. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion or a discussion regarding this file?
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
To deny or-
Are you approving to deny or denying?
Huh?
Are you denying the request or approving the request?
Or deny,
Okay, so you want to restate your motion? Okay.
I make a motion to deny.
Okay, we have a motion to deny. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries as a denial. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And this concludes our regular meeting, and now we're going to join the Honorable Mayor and the rest of the City Council for the joint public hearing.
In approximately 3 minutes.
3 minutes. You are correct. We all got in trouble last time. The mayor was late, and she didn't like us starting 3 minutes early, so.
We wait. You.
Not, I mean, the mayor, she, last time. That was many, many moons ago. That's correct.
Real quick, for those just joining us, if you have any intention to speak on any of the cases, please fill out a blue slip, and if you could bring that up here to Miss Susan. Sorry, yeah, Miss Susan.
State right away. Put it on this private.
Good afternoon again. We're going to start Planning Commission and the City Council, and the Honorable Mayor West is going to get us started.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May we
Mayor West. Councilmember Crenshaw.
Present.
Councilmember Durio. Councilmember Hilliard.
Present.
Councilmember Sherwood. Councilmember Turner is absent. Councilmember Williams. Thank you.
Planning Commission will make a recommendation to the city council on the items that will be brought to the city council at the first available meeting after this. The item heard in public hearing at the council meeting. Today is the only day for the public to speak on it. So if you're going to speak on item 4 and 5, realize today is the day to do that. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to turn the meeting back over.
Thank you, sir. We're going to start with PZ 2025-115, please.
Good afternoon, council and commission. Real quick, I just wanted to make an announcement that the following items won't be heard today. That's case number PZ 2025-126. That's the rezoning for Delaware at Dowlin. And PZ 2025-135, the rezoning and specific use permit for Northwest Parkway and Point Parkway. These items are reset to June 16th. It also starts or begins at 3:15. And a new round of property owner notices will be issued as required by state law. Brandy Tarver requests a specific use permit to open a retail beauty supply store to be located at 3825 West Lucas Drive, Suite D. The General Commercial Multifamily Dwelling District 2 requires a specific use permit for all new proposed land uses. The store will sell a variety of hair and beauty products. This use is consistent with surrounding uses. As such, planning staff recommends approval of the request with the following conditions. Number one, plans must meet all requirements with water utilities for any water and sanitary sewer improvements, including any requirements of the city's backflow pretreatment and/or fog program. And number two, compliance with all applicable building and fire codes. Staff sent 17 property owner notices and received 5 in favor and 0 in opposition. The area outlined in red is the area under review. This is the site plan. This is the subject property. Subject property in west. And so they'll just be in one of those suites within that strip mall. Property to the north, to the south, and to the east. And I'm unsure if the applicant is present today.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay, she's here.
Would you be kind enough to come up and state your name and address? And tell us what additional information you might have for your project. Any address you like.
Okay, my name is Brandy Tarver, and the address is 3825 West Lucas, Suite D, 77706.
Fantastic. Do you have any additional information that you'd like to give us?
No, we'll just be selling hair extensions. It's not a hair salon, so we won't be doing hair there, and we'll be selling hair products. I'm also the owner next door to J Baby Ice Cream, so we've been there 3 years, so we're already in the building location.
Oh, great. How's the ice cream going?
Good.
Fantastic.
I was here
Okay.
3 years ago.
So you would not be doing anything that has any kind of a chemical or any other smell stuff
No,
for your neighbors?
No.
Okay. All right. Any questions for the lady? None? Well, thank you very much. You've been the easiest one so far.
thank you, guys.
Have a good day. And now we're going to open the floor for public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against this case? None is heard, so we close the public hearing. We heard from the staff. We also heard from the applicant, and I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve file PZ 2025-115 with the 2 conditions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? The ayes have it. Congratulations, ma'am. Good luck. Okay, now we are getting on to PZ 2025150.
So the previous council wished to see an item to consider banning 8-liners from the city. Therefore, this item is before you, which would be to amend the city's permitted use table within the zoning code to reflect the ban of gaming sites and gaming machines. I'd like to provide clarification regarding certain gaming machines commonly known as 8-liners. Texas law permits bona fide amusement machines to award non-cash prizes or merchandise valued at less than $5, which is known as the fuzzy animal exception. The caveat is that those machines shall not render cash, gift cards, gift certificates, or prizes valuing over $5. Regulations over amusement redemption machines do not include types of machines that award prizes directly, such as the claw, crane, or similar devices. Additionally, this includes machines that rely on users' physical skill, such as throwing, rolling, flipping, tossing, or dropping a ball or object into a target area to receive a prize. These are typically designed for children's entertainment, such as like Chuck E. Cheese, Main Event, arcade venues such as that. So the City of Beaumont's current gaming ordinance establishes comprehensive operational zoning and licensing regulations for gaming establishments. These businesses are authorized to operate only between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. To ensure public safety and emergency response readiness, gaming establishments must display visible signage for first responders, and all doors must remain unlocked during operational hours. A functional security camera system is required at all times, and background checks are mandatory for all owners and operators of the game room. Owners and operators must also wear identification badges at all times while on premises. Zoning restrictions further regulate the location of the gaming establishments. Game rooms are permitted by right only in the heavy industrial zoning district. Conditional approval through issuance of specific use permits is required for locations within the general commercial, light industrial, planned unit development, and commercial manufacturing zoning districts. Additionally, gaming establishments must not be located within 600 feet of any school, childcare facility, church, hospital, or residential zoning district, and must maintain a minimum distance of 1,000 feet away from any existing game room. Under the ordinance, a game room is defined as a location containing 6 or more gaming machines, whereas accessory gaming refers to establishments with 5 or fewer machines. Game rooms and gaming sites that were legally established before September 26, 2023 are considered grandfathered at their existing location and may continue operations under their existing permits. However, if a permit is revoked, suspended, or allowed to lapse, the grandfather status is forfeited, and the location is treated as a new gaming site subject to the current zoning, distancing, and permitting requirements. Permits for gaming establishments must be renewed annually and require proof of valid machine decals, which are issued by the state comptroller. As of now, the City of Beaumont has 66 permitted gaming sites operating a total of 453 gaming machines. And that's for the city entirely, not just game rooms, not just accessory, that's collective, the legally permitted ones. These regulations are intended to ensure public safety and land use compatibility. So on this slide, I'll let Sheree kind of talk about the zoning case that occurred with gaming machines.
So the city of Fort Worth essentially wanted to have a more restrictive permitting process for their game rooms. The owner operators in their area essentially filed a lawsuit to prevent the ordinance from going forth. After several appeals, what the issue really came down to is whether or not the city had the ability to offer more restrictive uses for this type of business, and the answer was yes. So the court said that this was not a fuzzy animal exception. The court also characterized them as unconstitutional. The lawsuit, which was not intended to be a lawsuit to ban 8-liners, it does allow for cities to ban them from their cities, but that was not the mandate by the state. The comptroller is still issuing decals for game rooms and gaming machines, but this this case does allow for more restrictive regulations of game rooms and outright bans.
So to give a little bit of history, the city council first adopted the gaming ordinance in 2014 to regulate gaming operations for public safety. In 2014, they regulated gaming operations for public safety. In 2018, council adopted a zoning text amendment to regulate site location due to crime stats associated with game room locations. In 2023, an amendment to the Article 6 was passed to strengthen enforcement measures for gaming locations. So considering the outcomes of Fort Worth v. Riley case, the commission and council have a couple routes that they can take as it relates to gaming sites. So first option could be to ban 8-liners from the city limits. Second option would be to revisit the permitted use table within the city's zoning code to only allow gaming machines and gaming sites within industrial zoning districts, which would more closely align with our established regulations of a sexually oriented business. Basically restricting gaming establishments to those districts would serve to protect the character and quality of residential neighborhoods by distancing them from homes, schools, churches, other sensitive areas. And it also could potentially mitigate negative secondary effects such as crime, traffic, noise, while ensuring compatibility with surrounding land uses. The zoning approach could prevent overconcentration of gaming in commercial corridors by preserving a balanced mix of businesses and maintain the overall economic and social vitality of the areas. Third option would be no change to the operations, and we continue with the current ordinances in place. So again, what's before you today is that within Chapter 28 of the city's zoning code, the permitted use table identifies that these zoning districts where gaming machines are allowed. So the Planning Commission and City Council, if they wish to ban the gaming sites and gaming machines from operating within city limits, then the permitted use table must be amended to reflect that decision. So that's what's before you now. All game room owners have been notified of the item by regular mail, and those were the addresses that were used that were on the gaming permit, the current gaming permits that we have on file. And this is a City of Beaumont application, so if you guys have any questions for me, or I know that there's probably some that are here to speak on the item, so.
I've got a question. There are 4 pages of game room owners. All 4 pages actively have game room facilities right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We have 66 gaming sites and then 453 gaming machines.
Okay. Thank you.
Question for you is that the 66 permits that exist, what you're looking at is they will exist, but going forward, if you're going to change it, there would be no more added, is what you're saying?
No, that's incorrect. So if you went with option 1, which was to ban them, then those game rooms would no longer be allowed to exist within the city. So all of those owners and operators would have to cease operations within the city. If you went with option 2, which was to amend the permitted use table to only allow them in industrial zoning districts, all of the existing permitted game rooms that are existing outside of that industrial zoning district will be grandfathered in, similar to what we did before. They will be grandfathered in until such time as they allow their permit to either lapse or be revoked. And so they would not have any impact to their business operations until such time as that their permit either lapsed or revoked. Any new applications that came before would either need to be within that industrial zoning district, or they would need to apply for a specific use permit. So if you went with option 2, it would only impact new or potentially new applicants.
Where, is there a map of the industrial areas we're talking about?
I don't have one, but I could pull up the zoning map or online zoning map if you'd like. But I don't have a map on the slides right now.
Because what I'm understanding is that if this was to happen going forward, they will only be able to exist in this particular district, correct? or zoning, industrial area?
New ones. So any of the existing gaming sites that I had talked about, the 66 sites, 453 games, depending if they're a game room or the accessory gaming, they're, as long as their permit stays in good status, then they're considered grandfathered at that location. If let's say that their permit lapsed or crime associated with gambling happened there, then that permit would no longer be valid or it would be revoked. And then that gaming site would fall under the new rules of the last amendment that occurred in 2023, which just sets more distancing requirements. So the ones before 2023, you had to be 300 feet away from a school, hospital, or church. This amendment took into consideration children, so we added childcare facilities. It also took into consideration residential zoning districts, so we added that. So it's a little bit more, it's more distancing requirements than prior.
Okay.
So any permit, if there was a change to the existing permitted table for a more restricted use, anyone who applied for a new permit or anyone with an existing permit that allowed it to lapse or be revoked will be applying under a more restrictive zoning requirement.
Okay. Well, I was kind of interested in the areas that will be approved, the industrial part,
Yeah,
compared to everywhere else.
we're trying to.
Trying to get that information. And also, is there anyone that could speak on the statistics of the crimes that's involved with these sites?
We're going to get into that in a minute.
And I've got a question, just to clarify, out of the 66, how many are currently in the industrial zone? All of them?
No, so there are some that were grandfathered in prior to 2014 that are located in more residential or general commercial type areas. Post 2023, post the new amendment, most of them are located in more industrial type areas. So they're, out of the 66, I'd have to ask planning, but I believe that it's not as many. I believe more so of the applications came post the 2014.
So do we know how many are currently not in the industrial zone?
I don't have that breakout. However, I do want to make it known that, like, let's say that you guys were to go with policy option 2, which is to maybe amend the permitted use table to only industrial zoning districts. All of the existing permits that are valid, so that's 66 gaming sites, 453 gaming machines. So far, their license is valid, and so they would be grandfathered at those locations, so they wouldn't go away. Unless their permit were to be revoked down the line. However, any new applications that we receive can only, oh, nice, cool. Chief has a map, great. So 78% of the game rooms are located in the GCMD zoning district, so GCMD is general commercial. So just to pass that around. Thank you, Chief.
Demi, do you know how many of these are the minor ones with 5 or less? And how many of them are 8?
I can get that to you, one moment. I have my permitting manager here, she can look at that.
Good, thank you.
Demi, how did we get here? What was the impetus for the amendment?
So there's a couple of cities that have banned 8-liners. I believe it was White Oak and 2 others, and I think Orange they have not banned them yet, but they're in the process of considering it. They haven't heard their second public hearing yet. So in light of Orange, I believe that the previous council was interested in it, and so during that time, this was being prepared, and so now it's before you guys for consideration.
I have another question. I'm assuming we have a crowded house here, and I'm assuming a lot of these are the owners. Did the neighbors to these facilities get notices?
So they wouldn't have gotten notices on this one. It affects game room owners. So we sent, I believe it was like 200 letters or so to the game room owners and operators. But no, it was publicized, which is required by state law in the newspaper. And it was also posted on City Hall and also on the city's website. well before 72 hours prior to this meeting.
So there are only 2 cities in Texas that require the ban,
So
have the ban?
Fort Worth, Orange, White Oak, and I believe there's at least 3 other, maybe 5. And I think that that's a generous amount that are either in the process of banning or have considered a ban. And that's me being very generous with that number.
Okay, any other questions?
Real quick, there was 5 game rooms that have more than 6 gaming machines within city limits. So majority is accessory gaming, which is 5 or less.
But whatever we decide is not going to change the,
Well, what's before you guys is the item.
Well, it depends on what you decide. Demi's trying to be politically correct. It depends on what you decide. If you decide to go with option A, which is the ban, it would affect the 66 that are currently permitted. If you decide to go with option 2, which is to amend the permitted use table, you would only impact future operators. And if you went with 3, obviously, it would
Perfect.
not impact anybody.
since you're being so generous with information, and this is a city-initiated item, can we start with the comments from the city, or do we just need to go?
So if you still have questions for staff, you can definitely go, and I believe one of the commissioners did have a question as to crime associated with the properties. So the police
I
chief
think
and representatives are
that's what
here.
what is in order. So would the chief be kind enough to come up? Please introduce yourself and address, and you have 3 minutes, but if you need more time, let me know, and I'll be happy to grant it.
Tim Ocknashek, Chief of Police, 255 College is our
Good to see you,
address.
sir. Any opinion from the city or from the police department?
As far as information, I think we've been asked about crime. What we did is we pulled evidence that was from the locations. And what you might see is a whole range from like no events, no crime reported, to one site had a little over 1,200 calls. The problem is in trying to connect a nexus from the gaming machines or the accessories to the crime. And that's not something that we can really do. We can say that like the locations that only have games, there's like 1 or no crimes reported at. But we have some, like the corner of Calder and MLK as an example, where there's over 1,200 cases. It's a super busy location on a 2 major thoroughfares. So trying to connect the nexus to the gaming's situation is not something that I'm able to do. There is rumored, amounts and some previous experience that would say that not all crime is reported at that location. There's, sometimes there's crimes that happen off-site, but the ability to tie a specific crime that happened off-site or on-site to whether it had to do with gaming is not something that we've been able to do.
Chief, is drinking allowed in these places? Do they have license for drinking?
I would have to check on that. There's a couple people that could probably answer that question. There might be a few.
Unless it's a grandfathered location, then it's okay where it's at. New ones, no, there's no, you can't have any drinking associated there or any kind of licensing for on-premise consumption.
Okay. And Chief, you said there's a location which you have over 1,200 cases. How is that place still operating? Is it, and I know you can't differentiate between what caused the crime. Was it misbehaving or the betting or gaming and all that good stuff? Why is that place still operating?
Well, what types of crimes? I didn't pull all 1,200 crimes, so I can't tell you what all they are. But, we have some, like the police headquarters has a ton of calls that happen. If you look statistically, a lot of people come to the police station to make reports. That doesn't mean they all happen there. It doesn't mean that maybe the people at that location did a whole bunch of stuff, but a bunch of stuff's happened in that location or they've reported at that location. So, you know, anytime you have a busy location, the chances are higher that you're going to have some types of calls. You know, some neighborhoods have a lot of calls and it's because of barking dogs, and it's not something that might concern you on the face of it. And I did not pull all 1,200 calls for that location.
Do you have any information if in reality money's being exchanged or gifts more than $5 have been given out?
Well, we have run operations in the past and have had to shut down sites for not following the ordinances. There's a team that comes together when it comes to enforcement involving codes in the fire department, police department. And I know that some of those people are here, but there are times when that rule has been violated.
And what happens to that business after that? Do they come back and reopen?
Their permit is revoked. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think that if it's a conviction, that owner cannot reopen for 10 years, I want to say. But it's within the ordinances. But there is, especially with this last amendment in 2023, there is stricter enforcement measures regarding revocation of permits and how long. And I want to say that site, then obviously that's a permit status change from good to bad, right? So that site, anyone that's coming in has to reapply as a new game room or gaming site. And with that, they may fall under the stricter provisions for distancing requirements, which may not make it a valid location anymore. So really the enforcement measures affect the grandfather status most. But that's essentially it. There are enforcement measures at this point. Whereas beforehand, it was a little more lax from a permitting standpoint.
I did bring Assistant Chief Plunkett with me and all the operations and detective divisions under him, and he might have some additional items. I didn't want to speak.
Thank you, Chief. We'd love to hear from him. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Jason Plunkett, Assistant Chief at the Police Department.
Fantastic. You have any additional information that you'd like to give us?
I think the chief covered most of it. As far as the question, like with the location that we had that had so many calls, you have to understand that's that as most of the locations for the places with few machines, 5 and under, you know, you're talking about places like gas stations, things like that. So, you know, you have a lot of calls for trespassing, you know, gas theft, things like that. So all of those calls are included in that. As to your question about the payouts, you know, we've done operations before. I think just on a common sense level, you know, when you have people who are spending a lot of money, they're not doing it to win less than $5 fuzzy animals. We have found that in the past. You know, some places are in compliance, some not so much. But it is very difficult, as the chief said, when you're talking about this volume of calls to go through, and because you're not talking about just the location, right? You need to do an area search, pull all of the calls, and then really you're talking about going through thousands of calls individually per location to see if you can relate it to specifically back to the gaming that's allowed on site. So I think the chief did a good job of trying to explain that.
Thank you. I'm going to stop and let some other folks asking questions, but it's just, I can't imagine a whole bunch of grown people get into these places, spend a lot of money just to get a plastic butterfly or a candle. It just doesn't seem right. So there's something else going on that's just not publicized, I guess. Any other questions for the folks?
I guess, let me ask,
Let him go first and then I'll come to you.
give me a clarification. 66 permits, 460 some odd games. And the 66 permits is 66 sites?
Yes,
So
sir.
you said you sent, I'm looking at more than 66 names on the list,
We sent to owners and operators.
owners and operators, okay. And I think I think y'all asked the question, I
Oh,
was gonna ask
and
the same thing about the $5 gift, who's fighting over $5 gifts?
Elena, Planner One, she also identified that, some game rooms have more than one game room owner. It could be multiple, so that would add to that list.
You, sir? Go ahead.
How many, why do you have so many game rooms?
Oh, excuse me.
That mean on Washington Boulevard.
Like, why is there a concentration of games? I'm unsure. Maybe those games existed. I don't have the stats in front of me, but maybe those games existed prior to 2014 or right after 2014, where the distancing requirements were a little less strict in the 2023 amendment. You have the 600 feet from schools, churches, hospitals, daycares, residential zoning districts, and also if you're a game room, you have to be 1,000 feet away from an existing game room. That wasn't in place prior to 2023. So that could add to some of the concentrations of it. But that's me thinking through it. I don't have those stats in front of me.
Yeah. It's more than 5.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have
ahead.
another question. Of those 66 sites, how do you basically enforce the strict enforcement? How do you go about doing that?
I'm going to ask Lindsay Gilbreth, our game room administrator, and also Chief Wheat, to come up and discuss the enforcement.
And another question I have, what about the 66 sites? Are they required to have security?
Yes, sir.
Top-notch security,
Yes, sir. They're required to have a security camera system.
but not a security person?
No, sir. It's a security camera system.
Camera is the,
And in the ordinance, how it was written, any staff can, or any chief, we can go in there and ask to look at the gaming video if there's anything that pertains to his enforcement or anything like that, and they would have to provide that on site. But of course, I'll let them speak on it since they're the ones that are out in the field doing this.
all right.
Before that, let me thank Chief of Police and the Assistant Chief. Thank you very much. If you please introduce yourself and give us your address.
Lindsay Gilbreth, 801 Main Street.
Chief Scott Wheat, Beaumont Fire Department.
Fantastic. Which one are you going to go first?
Depends on the question.
You. Okay. What calls do you get normally these places?
The initial process is once they apply for their permit and it's all approved, we start our initial inspections. We're not only checking for fire codes, but we're very strict enforcement on means of egress, whether or not they've removed signs so we can see through the windows, if their security system is available, if we have logins, if the staff have logins, if they have badges issued and each person is wearing them upon arrival. And then once we get through all of the steps of the inspections, we send our approval in on CityWorks for Lindsay to move forward with the approval.
So you basically take care of the operation of the business as far as the fire and the building permit type?
Yes, so we're the on-site stuff.
Okay, all right. And Lindsay, what do you guys do?
We do all the permitting and make the tags, and I go through background checks and actually meet with each one of the owners and operators.
But you don't get calls, only the police gets calls on negative behaviors or?
No, that's not true. I get calls a lot of times because my name's out there as the gaming lady, so everybody calls me to ask questions.
All right, so what type of comments do you get?
I've gotten anything to where I've put a $20 bill in here and they won't give me my money. I've gotten they won't let me in the store, the door's locked. I mean, there's hundreds of different reasons why people call to either complain or just ask if it's legal for them to do this.
But they don't tell you if they put $5 and $100, right?
No.
Okay.
So you're all properly staffed? Do you have enough staff to handle those 66 sites?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's me, Chief Wheat, and Inspector Abercrombie that go out normally on Thursdays. So gaming, everybody can come in on Wednesday and meet with me, and we do their dip badges and their permits and their tags. And then on Thursdays, I'm escorted out to each one of the sites, and I put their tags up. I go over the ordinance with them, hang their permits and stuff with them. So I've been to each site.
Well, fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions for the folks? Thank you very much. Now we're going to open the session to public comments. Is there anybody that would like to speak for or against this case? The gentleman in the front, if you'd be kind enough to limit your talk to 3 minutes, and we get started. Thank you, sir. And if you please.
Thank you. My name is Scott Rennick. I'm an attorney here in Beaumont. My firm's located at 1420 Wellington Circle here in Beaumont. I'm here on behalf of the business owners who are legally and responsibly operating with 5 or fewer of the accessory gaming ordinances. I spoke at City Council during their recent meeting. I'm not going to sit here and talk to all of you about legally what I think some of the issues with changing the ordinance may or not be. What I really want to talk to you about today are the numerous businesses that I represent. These are corner stores, these are family businesses, these are mom and pop shops, these are not game rooms, these are not casinos. These are businesses that not simply haven't complied with this ordinance, but they've invested in this city and in that ordinance. And what I mean by that is when there's some discussion about what these folks had to go through, it's not simply paying an annual application that's thousands of dollars, having to pay fees to maintain the games for the city, which also can equate to thousands of dollars, to install security systems for these games, as is required, for thousands of dollars. But more than that, with the visibility option of required of this ordinance, that means these stores are having to modify their structures in order to comply with this ordinance. So what does that mean? My client's average cost to modify their stores is between $20,000 to $40,000. So this is not something where they're simply going into this going, I'm just going to throw some gaming machines in here and not worry about it. They're taking all the necessary steps to comply. The other thing is it's already been reinforced by some of the officers and public servants have talked about this. There is no evidence. I've researched it on my own. I'm a former prosecutor. I've researched this. I've contacted this. There is no evidence to show that there's any disruption of what these accessory gaming does. There's no proof of an incident of additional crime. There's no proof of this creating some level of truancy because we know children cannot operate these games. But what I want to say is in the limited time that I have is these stores are not, these are not the backbone of these stores. These are things that are helping minority businesses supplement their income in these very strange economic times and often underserved areas. And what this does do is provide a means for these stores to maintain employees, maintain staying open, and they are complying, but not simply are they complying, they're investing in the city. They have taken their own money and spent tens of thousands of dollars to comply with this. So again, I'm not here to talk to you about whether I think this is legally possible or not possible, but we are completely against any change to the ordinance. We are here to discuss that. I'm welcome to meet with anyone to discuss this, but these are business owners who want to continue to invest in our city and provide this revenue to the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. If you would hold on a second, any questions for the gentleman?
It's not like these businesses aren't making a profit though either,
I
right?
can't speak to each, that's a good question. I can't speak to each one of those, but I do know that, as I mentioned, some of these are underserved areas. And I do know from speaking with all of my clients that simply having these gaming machines is another stream of revenue, because what we don't want to do in these times is they don't want to diminish staff or things of that nature. And this simply does provide funds to keep jobs in those stores.
So if we were to ban this, then would that cause a hardship on these businesses? do you-
Potentially, and again, sir, and it's a very logical question. I can't speak to each one, but the answer is to some of them it would. Now, whether or not that means that those stores would wind up closing because of loss of revenue, I don't know that, but I know that it would create some hardship because the fact is that for my clients to spend this much money to comply with the ordinance means that it is a means by which they can provide revenue into their stores to offset those costs and continue to make money for those stores.
I have a question for you because
sir.
you said it's mainly in the underserved area. What do you mean by that?
All of my clients are minorities, and primarily their stores are in different parts of the city. Some of them are locations that maybe would not be enough of an economic flourishing to where the store, if potentially it had to close, that it might be reopened. I just know that from speaking to my clients, and I can provide more information next week if necessary, sir, but it's one of those things to where with the downturn in the economy and that increased sales, of course, disposable income for people, that those games do provide a stream of revenue that's additional for the stores to maintain just the level of being open and with their employees.
And I wish that, and I know this is not the place for that at the time, as you said, that the people who are affected by this would have a chance to speak at the same time you're saying they're making money at it. Because I'm assuming they invest that much money because there's a lot of money coming back. I mean, it's like, I guess Vegas don't operate if they're not making money.
Well, and that's very logical. But the thing is that my clients are generally, these aren't like the majority of them. These are not 25-year-old men. These are older gentlemen that are very savvy business owners. And the fact is simply they're not going to invest that much money into their stores if they did not think it would be something they recoup their costs. But on top of that, they wouldn't do all those steps to comply with the ordinance that was set out with the security cameras, with the right to be inspected anytime they're open, having to change, the visibility is a big thing with this ordinance, because with the visibility, what it means is a lot of my clients had to literally change their stores to comply with the ordinance. And like I said, that is often tens of thousands of dollars for them to do that.
Okay.
Mr. Brannick, you said something about underserved communities and neighborhoods. How are these machines and these businesses contribute to the neighborhood? What have they done for those neighborhoods?
Well, I think with those neighborhoods, and that's a fair question, but I think the point is with the machines, I don't see, and again, these are not game rooms. I think with those, what we're seeing is when you say contribute to the neighborhoods, what it is doing is it is simply creating a business that is staying open and creating a stream of revenue to provide jobs. I mean, the fact of the matter is Beaumont has a lot of unskilled laborers, and there are people that are able to get these jobs that maybe don't have a specific technical skill that are working at these stores. We want to keep these stores open, and some of them more profitable than others, and these gaming machines do create a stream of revenue to help ensure that.
You have to forgive me for this, but I don't understand your reasoning here, because if these are in a service station or if they're on a corner store, they do not have a specific employee that manages 4 or 5 machines.
Oh, no, they do not.
So they're not contributing to the jobs. Whether those machines are there or not, they still have 2 people working in the store. And these become an instrument of taking money from the neighborhood, putting them in the machine. Well, that's basically all it is.
This is a stream of revenue to keep those businesses open. But the other thing is that individuals who enter those stores for whatever purpose, whether I'm buying a soda, I'm getting gas, that is their right to choose whether or not they want to take the time to play those games.
But in your previous statement, you said that you don't think that these are going to be detrimental to that business.
No, what I said is this is not the backbone of those businesses, but this is part of their revenue stream. It is part of the way that they made a determination to spend that money to comply with the ordinance. No, it's not. And when I said it's not the backbone, they didn't open these businesses with the idea that I'm going to have a gas station so I could have 5 or fewer games in there. They opened these businesses and realized with this ordinance, this is a way to supplement the gross revenues that are coming into each of those stores. And again, as I keep reiterating with this, these are not game rooms, and a lot of these businesses are family run. A lot of these are corner stores and things of that nature. And the issue with me is almost like, as a lawyer, sometimes you go into court and you say, you have to make an equitable argument. Something just simply isn't fair. It may not be something where the law says this or that, but it's just simply not fair. And the fact of the matter is that I have all of these small business owners that live here, want to live here, are investing in the city, and have spent tens of thousands of dollars to comply with this ordinance. And then out of the blue, for when there's no evidence that there's an increase in crime, there's no evidence that there's a disruption, it just seems kind of arbitrary that all of a sudden turns into, well, we're sorry you spent all this money to comply, we're going to repeal the ordinance without any basis to do so. And again, I understand the concerns. You have an extremely competent city attorney, and she has spoken eloquently at the city council meeting, other things describing what is going on legally with these in other cities. But the basis is still Beaumont, Texas. And how does this affect Beaumont, Texas? And the fact is that I have searched on my own. As I often say as a lawyer, I'm not going to go into court and lie for anybody. I'm going to tell the truth. And the truth is, there's not a basis to repeal this ordinance. There is no evidence to show how these stores with 5 or less gaming machines, there's no increase of crime, there's no disruption. These businesses have spent tens of thousands of dollars. To repeal this ordinance is simply arbitrary because there's no evidence to show how it's a detriment other than providing a lot of revenue in taxes to the city.
Okay. One more question for me. What is the payback on these machines? Do you know?
I don't
Of
know
all
that.
the research
I
you've
know
done?
it varies, but I don't know that. And again,
Throw me a number.
When you say payback, do you mean how much
Like
revenue?
If 5 people go in there and put $5 each, that's 25. How much the store's making?
I do not know that. I'd have to have one of my
All
clients.
right, thank you. Go ahead.
Have you seen this map?
I
here?
have not.
Take a look at this.
Yes. I'll have to get somebody to bring it to me, sadly.
Scott, before you look, of your clients, are all of your clients that own these local Beaumont people? Or how many do you have that are from Houston or other times? Because we've had people come in from other cities that have asked to do this.
Could be an exception, and I can't speak because it's several businesses, but the vast majority of them are local.
Okay,
I
thank you.
cannot tell you if 2 or 3 are Houston or not, but what I can tell you is the vast majority of my clients are from the Beaumont area. Obviously, I'm only dealing with a handful of them because I wouldn't have time to deal with
Okay, thank you.
30.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask. How many of these businesses do you represent, or are you allowed to say?
Oh, I could tell you, but I can't tell you the exact number, but it's several. And I could have my clients, several of them are here today.
Yes.
They could stand. There's a large group of gentlemen. There were about 20 of us present at the city council.
Would you ask them to stand?
Sure. Let's see. Mr. Sultan, are you here? Let's see.
Whoever's. All right, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Brannick, thank you. You have any questions?
Yeah, I want to go back to the map that I gave
Okay.
you. And what I'm looking at, those are the 66 permits for the locations.
Yes, sir.
And I was trying to understand when you were saying that it was a benefit to the community and not necessarily to the owners, but it looked like 70% of those locations are east of I-10 and primarily in the south end and the north end. Why they don't exist in the other side if they're lucrative?
That I couldn't speak to, sir. I don't know. I don't know if it's a cost issue or zoning. I don't know that. I would have to get that information from my clients. But I just don't know why the stores aren't in different places.
Did you get a chance to look at how they located?
I saw the map. They just handed it to me. But I would have to get that information from my clients. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Well, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you for the time.
Absolutely. Is there anybody else that would like to speak for or against this case? Why don't you raise your hand a little bit higher so I can see it? Right there. Go ahead.
You might want to lower this again.
Good afternoon, sir. Would
My
you
name is-
say your name and
It's
address
Don
for the
Dodd,
record?
1635 Weston Court.
You might want to stand up.
And, yeah, thank you. And I want to say that I'm speaking about it because for 25 years now, the Examiner newspaper has covered these eight-liners. I think one of the first covers that we did, going back 25 years ago, was about gaming, about the gambling and so on. And what spurred the investigation initially was an African-American pastor from the North Side came to visit me. And he was very distraught because so many of his clients were coming in, they couldn't pay their light bill, or they didn't have groceries, they didn't have anything to carry them to the end of the month. And the church was having to help these people. They were great people, they weren't criminals. You're not going to find them in the statistics of police calls to these locations. They were going in because they couldn't afford to go to Delta Downs or LeBare's or whatever was open at that time. And I think like buying a lottery ticket, which is legal, they were going in and spending $5 or $10 or $20 or whatever the case may be, hoping to win more. That's why everyone gambles, right? I've been to the casinos, I play blackjack, I always hope that I win. Most of the time I don't. Why do I keep going back? Because there's always the chance. I think that Beaumont should not have game rooms. I don't think they should have eight-liner games in any gas station, anywhere in the city of Beaumont. If you want to take a look at somewhere like Rose City right now, which my wife's aunt was the mayor of for several years, they allow 400 gaming machine licenses in the city of Rose City.
Wow.
They charge $1,000 per license, per machine. That's $400,000 in revenue for the city of Rose City. That's a significant amount of money. But drive by there, come back. We came back off vacation. I was driving at 2:30 in the morning, and one of the game rooms on the left side of the road, just before you hit the bridge, there were 20 or 30 cars there at 2:30 in the morning during the week. They're casinos. The convenience stores know they're casinos. They pay them. I've been in line with my ball cap after leaving Home Depot and seen clerks pay out cash money to winners. They know they do this. We know they do this. And for the city to allow it to continue, they're being complicit in criminal behavior themselves for taxes or for. So if you're going to do that, then let's tax everything. Let's tax the drug dealers. Let's tax the prostitutes. Let's tax crime. And one of the gentlemen here, I'm sorry, I can't read your name. I'll just say, it's no coincidence they're mostly in the north and the south end.
Your time's over, but I would make a motion to give you a couple of more minutes.
I just believe that for us to, I told my wife's aunt this, I said, allowing 400 machines is no different than allowing 40. You know what's going on there. You're complicit in criminal behavior by allowing them to happen. And that's what I think the city of Beaumont's going to do if they continue to let this happen. And the game rooms that are grandfathered in, there's one on 4th Street. The owner's been busted. I think the DA, ex-DA here, Corey Crenshaw, new city council member, is the one that busted them. They were able, because the location has special use permit, a new owner, which I think is an LLC. I don't believe you actually, now they may have changed that in 2023. I'm not going to say for sure. But I think a lot of these owners on these applications are LLCs. They're not even individual owners. So I don't know how you track those, but I know that that game room was closed, and within days it was open again with a different owner out of Richmond.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak for or against this case? I'm in the back. Thank you. Good afternoon to you. If you'd be kind enough to state your name and address for the record, and we'd love to hear from you.
My name is Frances Graham, and I live at 1761 Rena Street. That's in the Pear Orchard, south end of town. And I'm speaking against these game rooms, whether they're in a store, whether they're just a purely game room. I'm against it. It brings crime. It's bringing our economy down. It's bringing the look of our neighborhoods down. And so I'm asking, hey, vote against it. We need them out of our neighborhoods.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to speak? Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Very well. If you'd be kind enough to state your name and address for the record.
My name is Wilma Adelo, and I live at 2015, I live at 5275. I just moved, 5275 Meadowview Road.
All right.
Okay, I am against. And what I would like to say is that gaming machines and convenience stores disproportionately target working class areas, creating an environment that often leads to increased crime, gambling addiction, and economic decline. Studies and reports from other cities show that the expansion of these machines correlates with the rise in illegal activity and predatory practices against vulnerable individuals. By loosening restrictions, we are eroding neighborhood safety, compromising public trust, and prioritizing short-term financial gain over long-term community stability. We must look at the precedents where cities have upheld stricter regulations, keeping crime rates lower, and ensuring convenience stores remain safe spaces for families, workers, and residents. I hope that you will consider not loosening the regulations that already exist to increase more of these machines in convenience stores. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else that would like to speak for or against this case? We're going to close the public hearing. I'll tell you what, which one of you guys in the audience are the owners, the real owner of the store? You, sir, up there, would you be willing to make a couple of statements? I'd like to hear from you. You with the glasses, right? Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, sir. Afaq Arshad, 7215 Brazos Avenue, Port Arthur.
Fantastic. And do you own a store with the machine, gaming machine in it?
Yes.
And how many machines are there in there?
5.
5 machines. How much do you make off of these machines in a day?
Not in a day. Basically, you can say maybe it'll pay off employee. That's it. In a
It's
month,
what?
it'll pay off employee wage. That's about it, to be honest with you.
So you're not losing anything if these machines aren't there?
For me, it depends on your store, to be honest with you. Like, for example, 4th Street, Savannah's, and all those small stores. Small stores, they don't have revenue, to be honest with you. Big stores have, like, the sales are there, they're okay with it. But anything small stores, some of the owners, I'm pretty sure nobody wants to, but some of the owners are working themselves because they are barely making, taxes have gone up, last couple years. I'll give my example, my store, $45,000, $50,000 taxes are going up. And population is not increasing in Beaumont. That is if it's Houston, population go up 4 or 5 million, if some stores are open and there's no restriction on it. I'll give you an example. Maybe in 2 years in Beaumont, 15 stores have opened next to others. At the end of the day, the cake is same. We are just cutting more pies out of it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I ask one more time. Anybody else that wants to speak for or against this case? None is heard, so we close the public hearing. We heard from the staff. We heard from the chief of police, the assistant chief of police, the gaming lady, and the fire chief. So with that, I would entertain a motion. We have two choices. Three, okay. Number one is to abolish having game rooms in city of Beaumont. Any new ones, the existing one's gonna remain.
No.
No, the existing one's gonna go.
Option one would be to remove game rooms from the permitted use table, which would also remove them from the city in its entirety. Option two would be to amend the permitted use table to only allow game rooms in industrial zoning districts, would only have an impact on new applicants. And then option three would be to do nothing.
All right. I asked the gentleman question, what kind of an economical impact they have to the community. There's nothing to be proven. They don't apparently make any money off of these, so we're not gonna hurt a whole bunch of people losing their livelihood. And how do we do the options? Do we go down by one, or just pick one and vote?
So someone makes a motion for either option.
Okay, so.
And real quick, I do want to add, this was advertised as a request to amend section 28.03.023E of the city's code of ordinances to ban gaming sites and gaming machines in order to comply with the Texas Constitution.
Perfect.
So you would have to make a motion on that if you wanted policy option one, or if you wanted two or three, then you would make the motion to deny this, and then I would come back with
Okay.
an item advertised properly to your request.
So, again, I'll just repeat myself. There's no evidence that we're gonna hurt anybody in this room by getting rid of the gaming rooms so they don't make money off of them, from what they say. And there's neighborhood opposition that they add to the crime, and all sorts of other stuff. And we all know that this is not putting a whole bunch of money in there just so you get $5 worth of toys. With that, I would entertain the motion.
Motion to deny file PZ 2025-150 with policy option one, ban gaming sites and gaming machines within the city limits of Beaumont.
Is there a second?
Need a clarification on what that was.
Hold on, that's one at a time. Sorry. Go ahead.
I need a clarification on when you're saying that, because were you saying that where it says the history part, we have to accept that first before we can go to one?
If you wished to ban the gaming sites, you would approve the amendment to section 28 point so on of the city's codes to ban the gaming sites. So you would want to approve if you wanted to ban. If you did not want to ban, then you would want to deny.
Okay, so I need to change my motion to
On which you wanted.
approve file PZ 2025-150, ban gaming sites and gaming machines within the city limits of Beaumont.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Any in opposition? The AAs have it. Thank you very much. Thank you for putting up with us, folks. I know this is kind of complicated, but I really appreciate everybody that suffered through it with us. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for allowing us to be with you, and we look forward to you to send us home. Thank you. Ooh.